Mom texted, "We're not coming to your housewarming. Your sister needs groceries." I just replied, "No problem," even though it stung. Oh, you won't believe what happened. I once told my parents, all good, about something monumental in my life. Little did they know my home wasn't just any home, it was a $4.5 million mountain estate, built with my own two hands and about to be showcased on national television. Can you imagine their faces when they realized what they'd missed? Because once that episode aired, my phone, well, let's just say it went absolutely crazy. My name is Grace and I'm 31 years old, living right here in Asheville, North Carolina. The Blue Ridge Mountains are my backyard, ancient sentinels rising against the sky, and the air here always smells like pine and endless possibility. But my roots? They're about 4 hours east in a small town where everyone knew everyone's business, and gossip traveled faster than wildfire. I was the firstborn, which, in most families, means something. In mine, it just meant I was the practice run before they got the child they actually wanted. My sister Brooke came along 3 years later, and from the moment she took her first breath, I effectively became invisible. I don't say that with bitterness anymore, just the quiet resignation of someone who spent 3 decades accepting a fundamental truth about her place in the world. Brooke was beautiful. Delicate features, porcelain skin, the kind that made strangers stop my mom on the street just to gush about her gorgeous baby. Me. I was plain, bookish, and way too serious for a kid. While Brooke charmed her way through life, I buried myself in books. While she collected friends and admirers like seashells, I collected scholarships and academic awards. Awards that nobody in my family ever bothered to acknowledge. This story really kicks off with my housewarming party. It was set for that very evening, and I'd invited my parents a full 3 weeks in advance. Plenty of time, right? I sent the address, detailed directions, even offered to pay for their gas, suggested they stay in one of the guest bedrooms so they wouldn't have to drive back in the dark. My mom, her voice already carrying that distracted tone I knew so well, said she'd think about it. My dad? He didn't respond at all. Typical. And then, 6 hours before guests were due to arrive at my brand new home, I received a text message. Brooke needed groceries. My 28-year-old sister, who still lived at home, who'd never held a job for longer than 3 months, who couldn't function without their constant intervention. She needed groceries. And somehow that mundane errand trumped my celebration. I walked slowly through my house, my fingers trailing along the cool granite countertops, the custom woodwork I'd spent months meticulously selecting with my architect. This place sat on 12 acres of pristine mountain property. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a valley so breathtakingly beautiful, it made my heart ache every morning, just remembering it was mine. I had worked relentlessly for this. 15 years of grinding through entry-level jobs, saving every penny, building a career in real estate development that had blown past every modest expectation I'd ever had for myself. This house was worth $4.5 million and I'd paid for it entirely in cash. But my parents didn't know any of that. They didn't know because they had never once asked about my life in any meaningful way. In their minds, I was still the quiet daughter who left home at 18 and rarely bothered to visit. They assumed I lived in some modest apartment doing whatever it was I did for work. Real estate, they'd vaguely explain if forced to describe my career to curious relatives. Something with houses, they'd say dismissively. They had never visited my office, never met my colleagues, never shown the slightest genuine interest in the empire I was methodically building, all while they poured every single ounce of their attention and resources into Brooke. The HGTV production crew had arrived 3 days earlier. The network was doing a special feature on luxury mountain homes, and my property had been selected as one of 3 magnificent estates to be showcased. I debated for weeks about telling my parents, imagining their shocked faces when they finally realized the true scope of what their overlooked daughter had accomplished entirely on her own. But something deep inside held me back.